Hello everyone, my name is Scott. I'm starting a new session for AI agent programming, live programming. And then this actually marks the first session. And then I want to introduce about, but basically just build AI agent in real time. And then we'll start with AI agent for domain discovery. I have been a programmer for last almost like 20 years. And then I feel like AI, the agentic AI or the last 4 years, Gen AI actually changed how programming code. And then even though I have been like a founder for the last 4 years, I spend maybe less than 30% of your time coding, but I feel like the whole coding process is completely different. So in this ongoing session, we're gonna have a weekly session. In each week, I'm going to code a new AI agent, starting with this one, this domain discovery agent. First is that I want to introduce about what changed, and what's AI agent, what's actually very different than before, and then we can jump into the live coding about this domain name discovery agent. So I feel the most important thing is that this is actually a brand new area. I feel like the AI agent has been since earlier this year, like February 2025, and then the whole flow is different. We have the earlier internet, we have the earlier mobile days, but the AI agent or agentic AI is actually bigger than ever. Actually, 9 months ago, when the first AI agent company, Adapt, was acquired by Amazon, most of people think AI agent is that. But with the reasoning model, with the reasoning model, with more and more people realize the model can be really smart, and then they can incorporate the model, large language model, in their reasoning process. Now we have agent can help you do things. For example, in today's session, I'm going to show you a personal agent I built locally on top of OpenManas in less than 2 days, which can help me to order Uber Eats, schedule things, do some browser use type of basic tasks. And then with reasoning model good enough, people feel like this is actually a brand new area. This is bigger than internet. This is bigger than mobile. And AI agent has been incredibly smart and incredibly dumb at the same time. I feel like incredible smart means that if you're asking them to recognize, like for example, read a chart and it tell you what's going on the chart, interpret a conversation, answer your questions. It can do this extremely smart. Particularly powerful if you combine it with vision model or audio model. But it sometimes can be incredibly dumb at the same time because we actually have some tasks to them. In this case, if you don't program a context well, you may have some subtle context not communicate with them, so they can make an extremely dumb question in this case. So I feel like it's extremely smart and extremely dumb at the same time. So today's session, when we do the coding, you probably saw, why it's extremely smart and extremely dumb at the same time as well. So, okay, so what's an AI agent? I use as an example to explain what's actually an AI agent. An AI agent is, in this case, you basically have a brain. The brain is large language model. The large language model, which actually acting as your brain, which can reasoning, you can interact with other people in this case, and then you have brain, you have memory part. The memory part you need to track because the large language model itself is actually stateless. You don't have the context in this case, and so you need the long-term memory and you need the short-term memory. Long-term memory, give you, your historical knowledge, etc. And short-term memory is more like for this particular task, what's my short-term memory? And then this is actually come from Google A2A, standard Google A2A architecture. And then once you have large language model as your brain and the memory as your like a memory part, and then the agent can develop in several ways. You can use one of the most popular agent framework, no matter it's LangChain, Llama Index, and then you can have orchestrate a lethal sub agent. In this case, orchestrated lethal sub agent inside the agent work on behalf of you. In this case, and the agent can also be empowered by MCP server. If I describe it, MCP server is just an API to list the API for the tools and for the resources. make it available for the agent in this case. So now your agent can actually make some actions, do some actions in this case, and then do the work on behalf of you. And then the last part, you have agent-to-agent protocol. People sometimes need multiple agents because each agent means that you're going to represent different people's interests. For example, you cannot delegate your interests to other people sometimes because you're not representing your interests, right? You want to make sure your agent represents your interests in that case. So that's actually pretty important. All right, so if you look at this, when you have an agent, you have the foundational layer as a brain. You have orchestration layer, orchestrate everything together. You have memory layer to keep track of long-term memory, short-term memory. You have two layers to enable the agent to build things, and then so what my company KITE AI do is that KITE AI is actually add ID to the agent, add wallet to the agent, so agent can autonomously spend money, add governance to the agent. So when your agent spend money at machine speed, you want to make sure your agent don't make you broke in this case. And then when you have agent-to-agent interaction, we want to make sure end-to-end is actually governance as well. It means that your agent negotiate a deal with another agent, in this case, following the smart contract, let's follow the SLA contract in this case. And then this is actually an agreement contract between your agent and another agent. And last part is verification. So yeah, so this is a brief introduction about what's an agent and then why it's actually now. Today, I'm going to, actually, the reason why I have this is that I actually code the agent myself people always ask me where the KITE AI name come from. And then this is actually coming from an agent in this case. So how it works is that I coded this myself earlier, like before this, before the cursor was very popular. So I still use IntelliJ to code it. The idea is very simple. Like I want to leverage a large language model to help me find what's actually a powerful brand name, a domain name. So that's actually been helping. This is actually been helping me for last almost like 2 years. And then in this case, so if you notice that it's still ChatGPT 3.5. So the idea is actually very simple. Like so the goal here is I want to find a domain name, and then the requirement is that I want to find a domain name, and then you need to figure out for what purposes you want to find a domain name, for what audience you want to find domain name, and then it shouldn't be too hard to remember. In this case, it shouldn't be too hard to remember, and then you need to have additional requirement. For example, you want to give people this impression as creative, memorizable, community friendly, and it should be available at affordable cost. And then, so this is actually this live coding is for, we have a domain name agent, and then build entirely this flow. So help you to think about this domain name discover. And then at the end of the day, you should provide, assume that it's a black box. Assume that it's a black box. At the end of the day, you should give this result, like list of domain names, which actually are, easy to remember, symbolic, like meet your requirement, meet your soft requirement in this case. If we notice here, like it should be have a list of domain name and then evaluation of domain name. For example, what does this domain name mean? Like, is it easy to remember? Is it hard to remember, etc.? What's the consideration for this domain name? Okay. So let's actually see what should we do here. We can think about different ways. First is that what tools available in this case. Let's actually list the MCP tools. MCP tools. Let's list the MCP tools. So we do have GoDaddy here available. GoDaddy API. Actually, this is not necessarily MCP. Just list as tools. What tools available? So we do have GoDaddy API. API to check if the domain is available. This is actually at least I need to double check now, but at least a year ago it's available, and then we have a Python library. We have a NLTK Python library, natural language processing library, to give you common words in this case. So probably this is probably inside of this. It's probably inside of this, and then and we do have I do have a personal agent. I have a personal agent. Personal agent can help me do simple browser tasks. Do the following things. First is that it can do simple browser tasks. Second is that it can do browser use tasks, and then it can connect with KITE network. This is less relevant in this tutorial. And then in this case, it can do some repeatable. It can do some manual, actually autonomous, repetitive work. Okay, so this is external tools available. We can double check if others are needed. Okay, so I think there are several ways to make it work. The previously I try something didn't work. We can just list it here which didn't work, and then so we don't need to repeat the process. What didn't work? I try to find a Python script to find all the short domain names. Find all short domain names. Of 4 letters or less. This didn't work. The reason is that there is tons of domain shelter, domain name hunter. In this case, it's actually get all the domains there. Just steal all the domains and buy all the domains and sell it to you. In this case, it's like this didn't work. And then let's figure out what didn't work along the way as well. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is that what actually make work is that first is that find all English word. Maybe let's actually limit the scope for this as well. Only for English word in this case. That's a limited scope for this. So I think in this case, let's actually do this. First is to find all English word. And then we evaluate for single word. For each single word, we evaluate its frequency in internet. The reason is that we don't want to have a domain name has too infrequent populace in internet in this case, because of if you name a word which nobody heard of before, it's probably not a good domain name in this case, or not a good brand name. This raises another question. It's probably hard to cover new invented word. For example, if you think about how the Google is invented, it's a brand new name. It's a brand new word in this case. Google is a brand new word when they actually have that word. Yahoo is not brand new word. Yahoo has been there for a while, but Google is a pretty brand new word in this case. So you probably don't want it's a little bit hard to. It's probably a different flow in this case to have a brand new name. So in this case, let's actually follow this structure. First is I find all English word, and then evaluate the frequency in internet, and then evaluate its impression. Evaluate people's impression based on user input criteria. And then last part is that search for its availability online. In this case, we may need to check from GoDaddy API in this case, and so that's actually give you how the domain name look like. All right, so I think this is the overall flow, but here it didn't cover if it's a single word or several words. For example, when you have one English word, it's probably different. Like one single word is probably different than the double word. If you're combination word, and then let's actually only cover single word first. And if you have two words, let's actually put it later. All right, so this is actually how the flow look like. Again, so I did a code for this earlier. I have my personal assistant. I have my personal script did this earlier, and then we can actually check how the flow works like in this case. So if you look at the flow here, I did is that first is that I do have a list of frequency. Let me check frequency. Yeah, so I have a small code to check the frequency. So in this case, it's easier to have for you to have a list of English word. So for example, there is a library. Sorry, maybe I didn't have it. Oh, I didn't import it. Sorry. Let's see how to import it. Just import this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a new laptop, so some of the libraries aren't available, but it doesn't matter here. Okay, so first is that we do have a list of words here. Let's actually download the word and then show the list of words. Okay, so this is actually the word list. It contains almost every single English word. I think it's every single English word here is roughly 220K English word in this case. It's very small in this case. It's actually a pretty small set. So now we have a list of English word, and then the first step, like a previous code, what I do is that I check frequency for this English word, and then, for example, it basically checks the frequency here. For example, the end result should be something like this. The popularity for the word this is anywhere between like some random number actually in this case. Yeah, it's actually pretty small. I saw the audience mention it's the number of English word is pretty small. Actually, the whole English Wikipedia is less than 20 gigabytes. It's less than movie in this case. And then it's growing at very small speed as well. When I was in graduate school, it's only 15 gigabytes. For last, when I was graduate school like 12 years ago, it's 15 gigabytes. And then it only grew 5 gigabytes over last 12 years. 5 gigabytes, if you have app, it's probably bigger than 5 gigabytes today. So if you'll notice that, let's actually install this and then install this and to check everything. For example, I want to make sure the corresponding library is installed. We can install this. Okay, so the step I do is that I want to go through each of these steps, evaluate its feasibility, and then before I code the agent in this case. So now basically say find all English word, just download all the English word. and then we can give a list of words to evaluate frequency on the internet. All right, so let's follow the script I wrote many years ago. I don't need this. I don't need this for now. So just this. Okay, so now I have a very simple code to help me check the frequency, and then I can check list the word popularity frequency. For example, let's try something. Let's try KITE. It's not very popular, but it actually did some normalization here. So this the absolute number is less relevant. For example, if you check Google, it's pretty small. It's a normalized number, and then let's actually normalize a little bit. Let's normalize a little bit. I don't want to go through all this. Let's actually add a limitation here. For example, break at 100, break at 1,000. Oh, okay. So let's don't have this criteria. I don't want this criteria for now. I just print and break at 1,000. Okay, so you can see a list of word. Just first is I find all the English word, and then for first 1,000 word, it gives the frequency check, the internet frequency check. In this case, so you can see some word are relatively frequent, and then some word is actually less frequent. Like you don't want to. I don't even know what this word means. You probably don't want to use this word as a domain name. And then you can see that most of the word here is relatively small. At least I know this word. Well, you don't want to have this word as your domain name and brand name, but you can see what's the meaning for the first step in this case. So we basically say, hey, now we can find all the English word. For every single word, we can evaluate its frequency, and then in this case, and then the next step is evaluate its impression. Evaluate its impression, people's impression about this word. I actually, this is actually exactly the thread. I did some experiment for the coding for this. For example, story protocol is one of our partner and customer. So in this case, and I just asked for story, how do you rank the domain name? And then, it ranked the company name from 1 to 10. And then I actually want to, during one time, last year, I really want to buy this domain, Tetris.ai. I really want to buy this domain, Tetris.ai. And then it's actually pretty aligned with AI. It's creator first. It's creative, has very creative potential. It's very tech savvy. It has very positive association. Tetris is everyone like. In this case, it let people think about give people the impression about creative, positive feeling. This type of part. But it has trademark and legal issues, so that's why we didn't purchase that. Yeah, and then we tried different name, but you can see here is that the ChatGPT can be your personal assistant. In this case, it can help you to evaluate the domain name. In this case, and then, for example, so if you go back to this first step, so you can list all the frequent English name. You can list all the frequent English name, evaluate the frequency in internet, and then ask ChatGPT, like what's your impression about this as a domain name or brand name? So this is actually feasible in this case. For example, DataBlock is our lab name, and then I try different things, and then I try some negative words as well. For example, virus. You just want to have, hey, what's good, what's bad in this case? What's a really good one? What's a really bad one in this case? And then, so yeah, so in this case, what actually worked is that I just bypassed all the pitfalls I did in before. What actually worked use ChatGPT or the model is that you want to give a batch name to evaluate. For example, if you ask them just a one word in this case, if you ask them just one word, what do you think about domain name sentient? What do you think about domain name datablock? It's going to be almost all the word, almost all the domain name evaluation will be concentrated between 6 to 8 in this case. Like as long as it's not a negative word, it will be concentrated. The value distribution will be concentrated to 6 to 8. But if you give a list of words, for example, how do you rank the following word? It's like you're raising houses. Like this is a list of candidate houses you want to raise. You give a list of words, and then it's actually give a pretty good ranking in this case. So for example, in this case, I try different list of words to give it ranking, and then just make it like very short, like what's actually concrete number you think is working and it's not working in this case, and then it will give actually a pretty list word. Like this is actually I did roughly a year ago, just to give a list of words. So you can see how the name come from, and how the thought process for the name, and then it will give, say, hey, what do you feel about the KITE AI as a domain name in this case? Okay, so I just manually do the process, manually do the process, but we can automate the whole process, in the next half hour in this case. But basically, the next step is evaluate people impression based on the user input criteria. Just send a batch word, 100 words to the user, and then let them, let to the ChatGPT, and let them evaluate what's actually a positive domain name and what's an active domain name in this case, like just rank based on this. And then the last part is for search for its availability online. For example, we can look at a short list of the domain name. For example, if you're looking at the code here, which we can write immediately here, like this is actually how I do it. Just send ChatGPT 4.0 in say from 1 to 10. How would you rank the following word as a branding? You should take this criteria into consideration, make sure output score as a JSON file in this case, and then yeah. So and then you once I have the name available, then I output it as a score here. Output as a score. So if we look at a concrete shortlist result, it should be something like this. So could like how this all this name looks good. If I can at Amazon.com, I can be extremely rich. So you have all the names here. The positive score with the name, like if I can get Apple.com, I can be extremely rich as well. You have the positive score with the name, and then you have frequency of name, and then you basically list a list of brand name, which is extremely powerful. You actually do a brute force search. It brute force all the English word, find the list of the English word, which is frequent, most people recognize. It's ask ChatGPT to evaluate people's impression about the word based on your criteria, and then rank it based on the frequency, popularity, and the positive score in this case. This is all great, assume that no one is competing the domain name with you, but always there is someone competing domain names with you in this case. So the last step is that you need to check its availability in this case. And then, so previously I did use GoDaddy actually check domain name. Sorry, 1 second. I did use GoDaddy check domain name. I couldn't find it. Let me find it. Okay, so previously I did use GoDaddy to check domain name, and then if you look at it, I purchased this one. I hope it's working. So you have a domain API here, and then if you look at domain API, I think previous code I used is domain available here to check domain name. Let's see if it's working. 1 second. We need a terminal. Let's find the terminal. Not this one. Okay, that's good. Let's actually see if it's working. Oh, it's not authorized. I did purchase this one. Weird. One second. One second. I need to double check. Okay, I see. It mentioned that this document seems wrong. Like it mentioned if you have this plan, it give me domain name. This is actually wrong. It mentioned I need to purchase 50 or more domains. I think I only have 30 or more domains. I don't want to purchase an additional. Yeah, I don't want to purchase an additional 20 domains for this. So okay, so I cannot use the previous code. I guess if you look at the previous code, if you're looking at this previous code, yeah, again, so this is actually my just like a hacker on code. I only do it wrong. I don't need to build an agent for this, but in this session we're going to build it as an agent. If you look at the previous code, I only check it once in this case. I don't need to make it an actual product. So that's why it's available. I can use GoDaddy this one. Previous one I can just use GoDaddy to check it. But apparently they changed policy. I don't know what time ago. It's not available. But we have our personal agent can maybe able to help. Let's actually see if our personal agent can help. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Let's use this one. Okay, so this is actually, you can think of this as a Manus, but everything run locally as my personal agent. Everything run locally, including, currently I still use Cloud API, but I can use my local API as well. This is my personal Manus. What I'm gonna do is that I need to use this tool to search for if domain name is available. Let's see how it works. Could you please help me find a list of domains available with brand name, KITE AI, and then I need availability, and it's a price available. Okay, let's see how it works. Now it's actually starting a browser use. and search for domain name. Let's see if my agent can help me figure out all these details. We need to do the prompt engineering a little bit smart in this case. So, yeah. Okay, it finds KITE AI is for sale. I see. People say I also need personal agent. We can open source this later. We do have plan to open source this agent later. In this case, currently it's still in the personal in private mode, but I need to clean up this a little bit and then make it available. So it's a variation of open manners built on top of open manners. So this is actually, if you look at it, this is a repo I built earlier, and then it's a personal. You can just I'll make it available roughly later. In this case, maybe less than 1 month, we'll make it available. So you can run this locally, and then run this locally and have your personal agent do the work for you. Okay, so now it's searching for name chip. Find the list of domain name available. Seems pretty smart. It seems to get all the information. All right, let's see what you will get. It's waited for 10 seconds. Interesting. Why it's wait for 10 seconds? I see. You don't think it get enough result from Namecheap. That's why it go to GoDaddy. It's okay. So is GoDaddy going to be available? Oh, okay. GoDaddy kill it. GoDaddy don't allow this agent access. All right. I think I know what to do. Let's actually use a different prompt. Help me find the domain name for KITE AI, and then KITE AI search it from Namecheap. I need availability and price for the domain. Let's see how it works. So basically, if you look at this, it seems that Namecheap is more agent friendly. GoDaddy actually blocks access. So that's why I'm going to search it from Namecheap directly. Oops. Yeah. There is a browser. Okay, so yeah, it seems available. Let's see if the agent are able to summarize the information for me, and then we can make it work. Oh, you do. Okay, seems that we do. But notice this is pretty expensive. So you probably need a human decision first before you go to this. You probably need human decision first before you go to this. Otherwise, it's going to be relatively expensive. All right, so I think it's actually pretty good. It gives pretty reasonable result. You have KITE AI Space, you have KITE App Shop, you have KITE App Pro. It summarizes the price. It also lists a domain name, registered before, which is not available in this case. Oh, okay. So it's verified it's a human, not apparently this is not. It's bound to buy the domain. No, don't buy the domain. Okay, so I think now I have a concrete idea how to make it work. Let's go back to this one. So let's actually expand our flow a little bit. I guess the GoDaddy part don't work. I want to make a red cross here. Don't waste time. Red cross. Yeah, my client really slow. Okay, so this don't work. I don't like GoDaddy. Okay, so I guess the flow is like this. We have offline processing, we have online serving, and then we need to have the last two part as a user input. For example, the search for availability online, we actually rely on my personal agent. This is a pretty heavy call. This is a pretty heavy call in this case. If you look at this, it's running almost like few minutes. This is a pretty heavy call, and then it should be due only after user gives some input. So let's ignore this. This don't work. So I think the flow is like this. Let's actually expand it a little bit, make it easier to understand. Separate offline, online, and human in the loop. So first step, find all the English word. And then, we start with a single word. Okay, let's actually modify it. Find all English word. We start with single word. And then we maybe do this in the future. Try double word, two words. And then evaluation is frequency on internet. this can be the second step, and this can be done offline. The reason is that this can be done offline is that regardless, in like the English, the frequency for English word not going to be changed over time. So if you have the offline opponent, okay, so this can be done offline. And then the second step is online serving part, because at end of the day, we want to make it an agent. In this case, we can evaluate the people impression based on user input criteria. This has to be done. This has to be done online. The reason is that you need user criteria here. So this has to be done online. And then it's a third criteria is that once you have this, you basically have a short list of options here. And then the last step is pretty expensive. So we need user input to select a short list of domain name before we send the last step to search. Okay, so I think we connect everything here, and then we can finally get down to work, and then let's do it. And then, so basically how it works is that, so this will cover this one scenario, like a single word as a domain name or brand name. And then we're going to evaluate the frequency in internet. We're going to filter the list of frequency, which is actually reasonable enough, but not too frequent. You don't want to try, Z as your domain name. You don't want to, in NLP word is a stop word. You want to filter the stop word. And then you want to evaluate the people impression based on user input criteria. And then you need to user input select short list of domain name and search for its availability online. And then, and search for availability online. And then, so you need user input here, like search for availability online. And then before you actually do the heavy lifting browser use work, because we can see the last step of browser use work, first it's pretty expensive. Second, it takes pretty long. It takes roughly a few minutes to help you, do the work. This probably takes pretty long. Okay, let's start code. Let's just start a new one, and then AI live coding. How we can do it split right. Then I can copy on the previous code before and make my life easier. One second. Actually, that's actually looking at the one's actually easier to understand. It's don't do this. Don't put it in the live code in the code. You put it in an environment file. For now, I just going to keep it easier. And then, so here is that I need to have the word here is pretty small, so I can have a word list here. It's fine. I can put it into a global list, and then I can have a main file. I can copy the corresponding word. What else do I need? I need to have a list of words. Filter. Okay, offline process. Let's do it offline processing. And then we can have a process the word. And what offline processing here is that for list word, could not find words. Why cannot find words? Hidden words here. Why cannot find words? Oh, interesting. I don't know why. What if I do it here? Okay. Okay. Check privacy, normalize the frequency, check the frequency, add words, add a frequency dictionary. Append word. Word is append word. Okay. So this is actually combined with the second step in this case. It's actually a little bit beyond the, the logic is a little bit beyond the offline processing. I just wanted to, let's do this. I just want to have a group word together. The embedding and trunking is pretty important as well. Like what word your group with. For example, if you have different trunking of the word, it probably give you a different impression. Okay, let's don't make things complicated. Let's actually try this. Let's see how many words we're going to put into candidates first. That's probably easier. So what I'm going to do is that in this case, I'm going to just check the word frequency and print it. Let's see how many words are there in this case. And then I'm going to yeah, let's run this. Oops. I probably don't need it. I just need this to import. Clean up this. Oh, I need to return something. Okay, let's make it extremely simple. All right, so let's see what we have. This is a words list, but it don't have its frequency. Okay, so this is a word with the frequency between 1 to less than 1,000, potential candidates words for the domain name. But we need a frequency dictionary. Let's check the frequency dictionary. Okay, this has frequency available. Fair enough. Let's see let's see, how big is it? 17,000. I think 17,000 should be good enough for 17,000 should be good enough for candidates here, legal candidates here. It means that all the domain name I'm going to look at is less than 17,000, one single domain name. It should be good enough, cover everything almost. All right, so okay, so I think it's gonna. What we do is that still define it as something like this, and then I just need to return it at end. I don't really need the word list now. What's the word list for? The word is okay. The word list for is actually trunking I sent to the agent, but I want to make it as offline processing. Yeah, I don't need the word list now. So let's do this, and then so offline processing will return list of frequency, and I can get the word. Do the trunking later. All right, so offline processing is done. Let's check popularity here. Check popularity is done. We just need to do the ask ChatGPT part. We can copy this part of code. I don't know what's the, let's actually select a model works. We need to import OpenAI. We need OpenAI API key. Probably let's load environment from load environment. Okay, I don't think it's matter. Let's do it later. But you want to make sure load it from environment. Don't load it from here directly. Okay, so we have model can be optional. We also need to have prompt as optional. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that this is going to be online processing part. So I need to give it a little bit more context. For example, purpose for the for this name. In this case, for example, in this case, it should be just use the name as branding. And default, we can say use the name as branding. And then we need a purpose. We need people's impression preference for this name. Okay, so this will be impression preference. And then how do you rank full name words as how do you rank for, okay, so the purpose should be here. So you want to, the purpose should be here. Username as branding. So, okay, so let's read it. Username as branding from 1 to 10. How do you rank the following words? You should take impression preference into consideration. Just output sky as a JSON. This should be good enough. All right, so let's actually define the online process part. Define the online process part. we need to evaluate how much cost it will cost us as well. I think we just know it's going to be this amount of work. So this amount of work means that it's going to budget 100 work. We can adjust it maybe 200 work. It will be 100 OpenAI API calls. Um, so that OpenAI API. I don't know how many million tokens. Probably a few dollars, I guess. It's not a crazy amount. I don't think it's a crazy amount. Okay, let's see how it works. I need to pass in the word frequency dictionary to it. Once I pass this to it, I'm going to have the word list. I need to trunk it first. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so where does this printing come from? I define new function. Okay, let's do this. Let's define this as new function. Then we just need to import the tabulate. All right, so offline processing, online processing, we have tokens. We have token. Token is, I guess the token is tracking cost. Oh, it's tracking cost. Okay. I need to trunk this frequency. I need to trunk this frequency dictionary and then feed it to the word list. Yeah, I need to figure out the logic here. This is a print. This is just printing. Token dictionary word list words and words. Ask ChatGPT. This part is clear. We need to add more details here. We need to have criteria here. Process token, check cost, scores here. Where does sorry, 1 second. Where does the words and the word listing come from? Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna merge the online processing and offline part in this case. It's just for the sake of this easier, in this case. We can do it later, like more complex thing later. I'm gonna just merge it together. Apparently, this is not very well written code. So let's check again. Let's check again. So I want to make sure, let's actually shortlist this. I want to make sure I don't have too many things in the first run. And then we can go from there. So let's run this. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's see how long is it. 5,000. 5,000 should be good enough. 5,000 will be 50 API calls. It should be good enough. Okay. So what it will do that it's gonna be so we first rank the frequency. We have a word list. We have a word list. The words is okay. The words is a temporary. The work is a temporary part. We truncate to append to work list. And then for each of the word, we ask ChatGPT token printed words with score. Okay, this should be good enough. This should be good enough. I think I sincerely think this should be good enough. What I'm going to do is I just need to pass the user criteria here. So I just need to pass the impression and purpose here. So we need to pass the purpose and specifies the string impression. And then here we need to have purpose equal to purpose. Impression is impression. How to impress? Okay, impression. Let's actually further reduce. How many words I can send in total? How many words? Let's see. The token is 4,000 tokens. Let me check how many words I can send in total. I may want to adjust the context window here. Okay, the cost part is not very concerning here. We probably need to try different models. Let's okay. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna to relax this to this 5 times, and then figure out which model work. let's try which model work, and then another thing is that I want to this model batch I want to make it instead of making 100. Let's make it 500. You send 500 word one time. 550. Let's make it 550. 500 is fine. It's going to be 11 batch. All right. So I just need to let's call it online processing. Then I just need to call it. What's the purpose? Purpose is for domain name for let's for this course, domain name for, okay, I want to start a live coding session. I want to start a live coding session. Please help me find a domain name. That's the purpose. And then what's the impression? The impression is that this should be fun. You know, it should be fun. It should be educational, not very cool word, but educational. It should be aspiring. It should be tech savvy. You know, I like tech savvy part. What else? Yeah, let's start this. Don't make things too complex. Let's start this. One second. Let's actually. Oh, sorry, it's under a different domain. Second. Like data Lego playground domain name. Which part? Yeah, I'm coding. Okay, I need to pip install. Pip install. Oh yeah, so I think next lab coding we're gonna have this cursor. You know, it's probably much easier, much faster than just manually do the work. Again, so this example, when I do this example, it's actually precursor time. It's last year. Okay. So we got some error, but we should be easily to fix. And in that case, maybe adjust the word list as well. 500 word may actually auto token. Average word is 7 characters. 7 or 8 characters. It should be fine. Let's see again. It's doing the work. Should have some time. Grab coffee, see what's going on, and waiting for result. It should print something like this. Oh, okay. I guess it's sending OpenAI too frequently. It has a connection error. The OpenAI connection is not very stable always. I found cursor particularly helpful, helped me find some boilerplate code in this case. So let's actually open cursor, and then if some boilerplate code can help me to write. Okay, I have cursor here available. Oh, I have a question. Say, what algorithm do you use, sir? Brute force algorithm. It's actually, if you look at the flow here, it's actually pretty simple. For people actually joining new here, let's recap what we're doing here. So we want to make sure we have a domain name agent in this case, and then I actually have a domain name agent for last few years. Like 2 years ago, I coded a domain name agent myself. 2 years ago, helped me to think about domain name. It's always my hardest work as a founder. So that's why I say, hey, what didn't work? You don't want to, you don't want to find short domains. It's almost always gone. And then I only know English and Chinese. In this case, that's why it's only focused on English word. Um, it's hard to cover. If you want to invent a new domain name, a new word, it's easier, much easier to go directly. Like Google is invented. You don't. It's hard to, it's hard to. Maybe good, but it's hard. Let's explore this in this conversation. And then at the end of the day, you can use GoDaddy API to check if the name is available. But I show that it requires me to have 50 domains. I only have 30 domains. So that's why I say, hey, don't fuck it. I don't want to do it. So the input for this is that you want to have a domain name. You want to have a general domain name agent. You give it purpose, give it impression, and then check it available cost. So for last hour, I did a very simple step-by-step check to make sure like every single step here is great, working, and then we want to find out all the English word. We want to evaluate the frequency in internet. This is all done by the NLP package, Python NLP package. And then we batch a word for 500 word as a batch and send it OpenAI for the impression. And then once we have that, we need user input to select a short domain name, and we can check its availability online. And then so that's the whole part in this case. And then currently it's evaluating almost all the English words. So if you look at this, the current code, so the first is that find all the English word, single English word, and then we check its popularity. We check the English word popularity in this case, and then we normalize a little bit, and then we make sure it's not too frequent, not too infrequent, because all the frequent words like the stop word, like this stop word. You don't want to use frequent word, and then we batch it 500. We batch it 500 and send the OpenAI for the evaluation. And the evaluation is based on user criteria. For example, what use this name for? In this case, we want to have a name for live coding, So that's why we need the name for. And then we want to give people impression. It's fun, educational, inspiring, and tech savvy. So that's a whole process. And then now we are waiting for it's giving result. I think the connection error may be context window autobound. The connection error may be a context window autobound. That's why it has a connection error. It's otherwise too frequent. Let's see what word is available. What word is actually in this dictionary? Yeah, I can see this is all very good word, like a frequent good word. Some word are negative, so that's why you need OpenAI for, just evaluate how good it is. Okay, so what I really should do is that I should have progress printing. Otherwise, I just don't know how long it's actually gonna take. So what's this step? After this step, I think the next step is that we can make the browser search as a session. For example, this browser search, we can start this as a server session. I code it as a server session. And then we can send this as a command from anywhere, from locally. For example, I just need to send from here. Actually, I need to figure out what do I need to send. So 1 second. Okay, so if it's running as a server session, what do I need to send? Execute prompt. This is actually execute prompt. Oh, it's just execute. With prompt as data. Post the prompt as data. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see if we have result. Oh, it's still connection error. It's still doing the work. Let's try this personal agent as a service. This is my personal agent. This is actually we should be able to send. Oh, okay. Okay, I need to, okay, let me figure out. Oh, sorry, 1 second. I probably don't need this. Actually, this should be good. The server side receive it, but it's not possible. Not possible. What else is control? Oh, I see. I need a header here. No? Okay, let's wrap this. Okay, finally. So yeah, so when I finish this step, I can pick a word. And then I can just have the server side available. For example, this is actually help me. My personal agent can help me order Uber here. previous case, and then I can make it server side available. It should work. Okay, let's kill it. I don't need it for now. Let's kill it. Now we just need to wait for this result. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is that I don't know how long this will take. That's the issue. The issue is that I don't know how long this will take. I don't want to kill it and then come back later and find another 15 minutes here. What should I do? Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to shortcut this in. If it didn't return anything in 1 minute, let's actually modify this. Let's modify it to a much smaller number. The most important thing is that I need to have periodical result. To have periodical result. Otherwise, it's going to be wait forever. Let's run one thing. Let's actually run one thing here, and then let's figure out how long one run will take. It's much easier to do this way. What I'm gonna do is that run this locally and see how long it will take. Okay, it's a fair now. Okay, let's see. Oh. Worst case is a start one. Why word list is a such now? It should be just a file standard word. This is actually almost all the English word. What's been wrong here? This is this is almost all the English word. This is an incredibly large one. This is okay. So it's word list. It's not words list. My bad. All right. So let's see what's words list. It's 10. So that's right. That's actually what he evaluated because it should be 10. Yeah, this should be right. This is like all common word. This should be right. But why it takes so long? It should be just 10 call. Right? It should be just 10 call. Why it takes so long? What's wrong? Okay, I don't think this makes sense. What I'm gonna do, I'm going to change the code a little bit and print it a little bit. I'm going to just print it here and see how it goes. Yeah, I'm gonna run again and see what's actually going on here. I can keep it running. Let's see, what do I run here? Why is it stuck? This should return in no time. When it's calling this, they should give a printing. Oh, okay. I think it's too huge. It's still too huge. I should reduce this to a smaller number. Let's reduce it to a smaller number. 100. Okay. So this makes sense now. Okay, so I'm gonna kill the previous one. I don't think it makes sense now. It's probably erroring out. It's probably not a lot. This is good. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna to further reduce the range here. I'm going to less than 100 and smaller than 500. It's probably going to limit the word to a relatively small number. Let's check. So let's check how many words are gonna to run. Sorry, not this one. Oh, that's the word is. Oh, not this one. 700 word. A little bit too small, but for demo purposes, I think it's fine. 800 word. 800 word as a domain candidate. I think that's fine. Let's just for demo purposes. Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool. So you can see the pattern here is pretty obviously in this case. For example, like if you look at this, one of them is rating, the other is one of them is rating, the other is frequency score. For example, French is a pretty frequent word, but if I use French as my AI agent live coding, it's only 3 in this case. Like rating is pretty low. Industry definitely more tech heavy. Space is pretty tech savvy. You can see the space is pretty tech savvy, so that's why it's ranking 8. So it's pretty reasonable. Okay, now it gave me this word as a reference. I think I need to lower the frequency a little bit. This is too common words. The training art, etc. is too common words. And also it's not case sensitive in this case. So if you look at the distribution for this, only 3% is 8 score, only 7 is majority word is still less relevant. This is too common words. It's hard to create an AI agent, domain name or brand name just based on this word. And we need to filter the case sensitive and insensitive one in this case. I think case sensitive and insensitive one is less relevant. Let's actually modify. Let's modify this. First is that we need to change the frequency to be between probably this one. It's less frequent because I feel like you probably won't be able to find any domain name with technology or education or research, etc. And then in this case, this is probably more relevant. Second is that I did not mention AI agent. That's why it don't have anything relevant to AI agent in this case. So you want to have something AI agent related. And then let's actually 10 to 200 maybe. And then we need to make word lowercase, do duplicate the word a little bit. Yeah, so this should be need to lower. Is this a string? Oh, it's recognized as a string. Okay, to lower. Oh, should be string. Oh, Python is probably just lower. No. Okay, how Python to lower? Python string to lower. Yeah, to lower is fine. Okay. I need to have this to lower. Okay, so process it lower. All right, then we can have current word. And then add to the word. Add to the word. Okay, let's try again. So what I do here is that I make sure I'm looking for AI agent related domain name. Second is that I actually make sure it's less relevant. It's less frequent. This is too frequent. I cannot find domain name nowadays. Let's say how relevant it is. Yeah, so if you look at details here, it's pretty interesting. You can see how it's reasoning with itself, like occasion, weekend. It's not tech savvy. But if you look at the previous line, it says technology is pretty tech savvy. Like tech is pretty tech savvy. Corporation is probably very anti-tech. Electronics, this is pretty tech savvy. How many words are there? I need to double check how many words are there if it's 100 to 200. 10 to 200. Let's check how many words are there. $5,000 words. Should be okay. $5,000 words is gonna be 50 OpenAI API calls. All right, so I think we can think about last step. The last step is make it a Python file. Deploy this as a service that have end-to-end calling. So how it works is that you're gonna give it how it works is that you're gonna give it um, prompt like what purpose you need domain name for, what impression you want to have the domain name have, and then it will produce list of domain name here, and then you can pick one. Once you pick one, once you pick a list of domain name, and then you can send the server side to look up the domain and then summarize it for you in this case. And then you can wrap the whole thing as a services here. And then if you're very if you have tons of money in this case, you can send every single candidate. If you have tons of time, you can send every single candidate as a task to the browser use agent, and then let browser use agent help you to search for the domain name, and then everything should be able to automate it in almost no time. All right, let's see how many of these are there. If there is 50, it's probably pretty close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I tend to wrap up this code session in 10 minutes, and then let's see how much we can get. So I think the double, like a mix of double words is actually pretty simple as well. For example, if you think about double name domain, GoDaddy, or those double word domain, both those words are pretty frequent. The frequent, you're gonna have very frequent word in this case. So I guess you can just limit, limit the frequency to be like a one word extremely frequent, and then so you basically reduce the criteria for this. So for example, if I'm today, have enough time to build a double word building, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna to do this is that I'm going to make sure this double word, each word are very frequent, and then it's a great combination word. In this case, I'm going to say, hey, is this? I'm going to send it to OpenAI ChatGPT and say, is this two word related? Like Great Expectations, it's a great brand. It's a great brand name as well. And then Great Place, Great Place is a okay and a good brand name. And then I guess it's first is that you actually have two word relatively more frequent, and then you search a criteria more frequent. Great hope, like and then you can say, hey, have one word to be like a describe word, and the other word could be a noun. In this case, it's much easier to reduce the scope. But I think the flow is similar. Okay, finally it's and. So it gave me, let's say the distribution. It roughly went through 8,000 word, 5,000 word, and then majority word is very low scale. You have 3% or 100 word more than 8. You have 15 words more than 9, and you have one word is 10, which is AI. How surprised it is. AI is definitely like in this case a very not surprised. Okay, so 10 word AI X code computer, awesome, assistant, innovation, virtual. Virtual is pretty good. Okay, rocket, quantum, technology, interactive. I like this word, interactive. Algorithm, program, project, learn, technology, voice, network, knowledge, quick, machine, solution, generation, excellent, technology, teach, math, Android, architecture, aspiration, um, mathematical, aspiration, creativity. Okay, so I found most of the words probably better from if you look at the 10, rank 10, it's like almost the most frequent or common word. It's hard to find, but if you're going down a little bit, you can see it's a much more easier. I think we need another criteria. It shouldn't be too common word. It shouldn't be too common. For example, innovation. I don't feel innovation name is cool. It should have a cool name. I feel like space is cool, interactive is cool. Innovation, I don't feel like it's a very cool name. Okay, so now basically you have list of the name. You have list of name here. The last step is make sure which name is available. Let's say we pick matrix. Let's say we pick matrix, and then we have the server side available, and then we can just calling this and say, help me find a domain name. Help me find a domain name. This matrix. Starting search it on domain trip. It is called domain trip, right? Let's see. So in this case, it will give to. Sorry, 1 second. In this case, it will give to the local agent, my local personal assistant agent, and then do the work. Okay, I need to have this data format here. 1 second. Yeah, so now, now the agent can do the work. Apparently, all this is pretty expensive. I don't know if you can afford it. All right, so I think we will wrap this live coding. I basically walked through everything. Let's do a recap. I'm going to deploy this as a live services later. With more details. But in this case, at end of the day, what we have is that we have the user requirement. User can give what they need, what domain they need. For example, for what purposes, for what audience. We're going to give a frequent word, and then we're going to give the list. Let me kill this. Let me kill this agent. We're going to give it. A frequent word, and then we're going to get like this is a requirement for the name. You say you need to be what purposes, for what usage, what impression you want to give to the people, available at what cost in this case, and then and then we're going to passing this as we can deploy a service. This probably take another hour to deploy the service, and then we can pass in the requirement, purpose, and impression here, and then underlying what it do is that what we live code today is that we find all the English single word, we evaluate frequency in the internet, and then we evaluate people impression based on the user input criteria. And then based on user input criteria, we have a short list of domain name, which is something like, sorry, not this one, something like this. This is actually a short list of domain name you have. And then this requires user input, in this case. The user need to select a domain name, and then you can do a relatively expensive personal agent call, search for availability online. So that's a work, we did the last step. So show the list of the agent, like this part. Like for example, when I choose a matrix, it will search for matrix and then do the search online. So we're going to deploy this as a service later, and then so everyone want to think about use the domain name and think about how to use this as domain name. I feel like certain name is probably okay to buy. Like this one, matrix space, a matrix site may be good enough in this case, not that expensive, generally speaking. Okay, thanks for coming. This is actually beginning of the first coding session, and I'm going to spend more time walking through like live coding everything. We're going to hopefully have this on weekly basis. This is mark the first session on live coding. Thanks for coming, and let me know if you have any feedback. You can reach me on Twitter or YouTube. Thank you.